I wish you a lifetime of fear. Yes, you've heard me right. I wish you're fearful. Not fearless, but fearful. I wish that every time you wake up in the morning and get out of your bed, you're simply scared, afraid, and petrified of everything that could go wrong. And I don't mean to be mean, but I wish you get those sweaty little hands from the first time you actually spoke in front of a crowd. Those shaky legs and that nervous mind, that accelerated heartbeat from the first time you played at a soccer game. Those goosebumps from the first time you arrived at your home at 3 a.m. and your parents had no idea you weren't in there. That cracky little voice, that knot in your throat, and those butterflies rising up in your stomach from the first time you sang out loud on a stage. I wish you're scared of criticism, of people judging you, of people talking in your back, of people laughing at you, because they will, believe me. I wish you're scared of failure, of people telling you what to do with your life, of being the one different, of being the one outstanding in the crowd. I wish you're scared of not doing anything until you're 35 years old and you're still living at your parents' home. And I wish you're scared of not doing anything at all. But I don't mean to be mean. My first interaction with fear was when I was just 8 years old. Wow, I was so little. I thought that the only way it could scare me was because of monsters or because of the dark. Obviously, I had no idea what was going on with my life. But it was the typical story. The nerd kid at school was getting bullied. Unfortunately, I was the nerd kid, and it wasn't as funny as it sounds. But I realized that I was too scared of going to school. I was so nervous every day because of the guys that harassed me physically, verbally, and emotionally. I remember crying until I fell asleep, and nobody knew anything about it. I wanted to avoid school. So what I did? Create the most lame excuses. I was so pathetic creating excuses in front of my parents. Mom, I have a headache. Can I just stay here for a while? Daddy, it's a sandwich day. We can stay here. Classes are off. Mom, I just didn't study for the exam and I just don't feel like going today. Can I stay here? And in spite of how pathetic they were, my parents always believed me. I was too scared to go to school that I locked myself in this protection bubble that was keeping me outside from the real world. It was keeping me outside of the hurt, of the suffering, of the tears, of everything. And even though it was just a couple of days that I stood at home, I could have stayed there for weeks. I was the best grades in all the school. School wasn't a problem to me. I could have just stayed in there for months and keep myself in that little shell of protection that I've created for myself. But I realized that I wasn't gonna live. I was gonna let those guys see how much they've hurt me. I didn't want that. As an 8-year-old, I realized the more they saw me hurting, the grow their ego. And I just didn't want it to be like that. So as an 8-year-old, I took the mature decision to tell my parents. I grabbed my teddy bear at a Tuesday, 1 a.m. in the morning. I went walking to the living room, and I just remembered that every single step I took, my heartbeat was accelerating 10 times even more, and I just kept thinking, what could go wrong? What if my parents didn't believe me? What if they thought I was a liar? What if my parents told the teacher, and the teacher told the guys, and the guys would harass me 10 times more because of gossiping? I was too scared. What could I do? But while I was walking, it felt like hours of walking. It could have just been seconds. So I started thinking of all the tears I've cried for them, of all the punches, of all the little abuse they put in my mind, of all the words saying that I was a coward. I started thinking. As I got thinking, I got more nervous, and I put all those nerves into courage, and then I arrived. I arrived with my dad, and I let it go. I let go of every single suffering, of every single tear, of every single moment of anger those guys have cut me through. And I conquered fear. And nowadays, if I haven't done that, I wouldn't be myself right now. I conquered that fear. 13 years old. Due to school projects, I had to speak in front of a crowd, but I remember being so fearful about it. I remember every time I stood up in front of just 5 people, I could start crying and sweating and shaking, and I couldn't talk. That day, I had to speak not just in front of the students and the parents, but the teachers and every single soul the school could have. 300 people looking at me with their eyes penetrating just in me. When I got up on the stage, I took the mic. I looked up in the front, and every single person was looking just at me. I felt so paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I felt that knot in my throat, those butterflies rising up, those sweaty hands. Everything was coming together. And even though I had weeks of preparation for that moment, none of that mattered. So when I got there, I couldn't talk. I took a step back, and I thought, I have 2 options. One, I could just get out of the stage, run until I get to the bathroom, and hope nobody ever knew I existed. Or 2, I could take a step forward, take a deep breath, and put all of my nerves together, get done with this moment. I guess it's pretty obvious what I did, because if I haven't done that, I wouldn't be standing here right now. And I'm proud of that decision of speaking and just putting every single courage that I had until that moment. It was powerful, the most powerful moment I've ever appreciated. So what I'm here to say, fear isn't something that should paralyze you. Fear is something that should motivate you and keep you going on with your life. Let me ask you one question. What's the first thing that comes to my mind when I tell you, I'm scared? Think about it. What's the first thought you get when you see someone saying, I'm scared? Most people would think of cowardice, of weakness. Most people would think that that person isn't strong enough. Let me tell you, the ones that are fearful but still try to do stuff are the bravest. What can we expect? Fear is human instinct. The one that doesn't represent it, the one that doesn't show it, it's totally unhuman. Being fearful helps us motivate us. Fear is the most powerful tool we humans have right now. Because with fear we can do so many things. And it's totally amazing that I can see so many people with brilliant minds getting stopped by this feeling. We have to do something about it. Whenever you feel like you can't breathe, whenever you get those little butterflies, whenever you get those sweaty hands, don't let that stop you. Convert them into courage. Put all of those things together and make that thing you were supposed to do 10 times better and prove everyone what you're capable of. Fear is a weapon. And yes, it's a dangerous one because it's something that can either be your motor and motivate you, but if you let it, it can paralyze you. It could put a wall in front of you. It could be your obstacle. It could be that little thing that keeps you from getting to the final goal. Don't let it. A quote that I really like from Nelson Mandela says that the ones that are the brave are not the ones that have lack of fear, but the ones that conquer it. So conquer your own fear, whatever it is. If you're scared of failure, well, failure is unavoidable. You're gonna fail, you're gonna drop, you're gonna fall into the ground, but get up again. Get up again and don't be fearful. Be super feared, for with everything can happen in your life. I know it's hard to accept fear. I myself first thought that it was a bad emotion, that it was bad to be this way. Fear is amazing. Fear can get you there, even better than you ever thought. So yes, I do hope you get those sweaty hands and those goosebumps and those shaky legs and that cracky voice and everything you could get. Be fearful. I wish you the fear of your lifetime. But mostly, I hope you still do something about it.